Hey everybody, this is TotalGamerJunkie and I want to welcome you all back to my channel. Now, it's been a while since I've done any Life is Strange theory videos, and I knew that I wanted to come back with a bang. I wanted to do something that I don't believe any Life is Strange channel has done before. And if they have, then I feel like a fool for making this video. But for this video, I want to discuss not just one singular character, but every character in the first Life is Strange game. Specifically, what every character's power would be if they had a power. Now, there is a popular theory which I 100% support. It's that a person's power stems from their personality. That their personality determines what power they're going to get. This was actually stated by the co-directors. They didn't state the theory, but when they mentioned Max's power in an interview, it was explained Max's ability was designed as a metaphor for her timid, regretful nature. She keeps looking back and trying to change everything about her choices, which is what we as players can do in the game. We make a choice, if we don't like it, we can go back and decide what we want to make. And we're really not making a choice. In fact, I'd argue the only two times your choices would actually be choices is when you got to save Kate on the roof and the final choice at the end of the game. Now, that doesn't mean the game isn't bad. In fact, it's rare for me, at least, like when I play certain games that have rewind mechanics, you often overthink it and it can be like, oh, it's not good. So really, Life is Strange 1 and Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time are two games that I think handle time travel well. There are a few others that are okay, but I think those two are pretty good at it. Now, what I'm going to be doing is, I might turn this into a series, I am going to turn it into a series, I just don't know how many. But for this video, I'm going to focus on different parts of the game and slowly expand out. So for this part of the video, we're going to focus on all the students that were in Jefferson's class when Max woke up from her vision at the very beginning of the game. We're going to start with one of my favorite characters, Kate Marsh. Kate is one of the kindest souls at Blackwell. She's shy, gentle, and deeply caring. Someone who never wants to hurt anyone, even when she's bullied. But honestly, I would love to see it if maybe she slapped Victoria at one point. That would be amazing. But we got Warren beating up Nathan, so I wouldn't trade that scene for that. So Kate, she forgives, she prays, she stays compassionate despite everything. Her personality is all about soothing and supporting those around her. If Kate had a power, I think it would be emotional healing, something similar to Alex Chen's. Imagine Kate being able to calm someone's fear, ease their pain, or even heal emotional wounds just by being there, just standing in proximity, where Alex has to actually use her power to, heal a person by taking away their negative energy. Kate would be the opposite. She does have this calming aura around her that could ease people. Next up is everybody's favorite queen biatch, Victoria Chase. Like, when we first see her, she's manipulative, arrogant, and thrives on putting others down. But I'll admit, if you can look past, because that's my first impression of her, as well as other things, that's why I always think she's a bitch, which I may cover in a later video. But if you really dig deeper and look into her character, you'll know she's also insecure, jealous of Max's talent, pressured by expectations from her family, because they own the Chase space. And she's really just, if you think about it, hiding her true self behind this perfect image she has to project. For Victoria, I imagine she'd have a power based on illusion or mind manipulation. Tongue-tied there. Mind manipulation, sorry about that. Like, she could literally control how people see her, bending perception to maintain that flawless facade she's so desperate to keep up. Or, it's similar to Sophie's power, if you think about it, how Sophie can manipulate how people see her. That could also be a good power for Victoria. Or maybe she could alter reality in subtle ways to keep herself on top. It's the ultimate power for someone who's obsessed with appearances and social control. What do you think? Do you think Sophie's power would be good for Victoria? Next on the list is Alyssa Anderson. And if you don't know that name, it's she's easy to overlook. she's the chick that basically gets repeatedly hit in the head multiple times throughout the episodes. Episode 1, 2, 3, and 4. And depending on your choices, whether or not you continuously help her or not, will determine what happens in one timeline where she lives or dies, and can even save Max at one point. Now, if you delve into LIS's character a bit, you'll notice that she's a bit observant, which is funny, seeing as how she's constantly getting hit with objects, and you have to be the one to warn her about it. Like, when you end your dialogue talks with her, you know, she sees more than she lets on. Like, then the appearance of her being hit repeatedly will tell us. So if she had a power, I'd say it would be some type of precognition. She'd be able to sense incoming threats before they happened, whether it's a football to the head or something far worse. I think this power fits her cautious personality and turns her from a constant victim into someone who can avoid or even prevent danger. But like, this one was a little tough because certain characters you know a lot more by spending time with them, so you'll notice this a bit in the characters I'm mentioning, as sometimes you know a lot about a character and other times you only know a little. But let's move on. Next we have Stella Hill, an intelligent, hard-working, determined student who pushes herself to excel in every class. She's got this, what would you call it, intensity about her? Like, she's always analyzing and absorbing everything around her, if that makes sense. I think her power would tie to her intellect. Maybe some type of instant learning or photographic memory. Like a power that allows her to process information at lightning speed. Maybe something like, if you ever played Assassin's Creed, the Animus in the earlier games have what's called the bleeding effect. When people spend a certain amount of time in the Animus, they begin gaining their ancestors' abilities. So instead of what would take years, even decades of training, like Desmond is able to absorb in a matter of months. So, for example, she could read a book once and memorize it perfectly, or solve a complex problem in seconds. Next is Hayden Jones, a character we don't really interact with too much, so it was a little hard to figure out what his power would be. Honestly, he's just really a chill guy. Yeah, he's popular and he's quite laid back. And from replaying the game and looking at clips of him, he tends to avoid all the Vortex drama. Like, he likes to party, but he's really not like how Victoria and Nathan are, like up their own ass, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's me. I'm popular, and that makes you a loser and me a winner. Now, I think, and actually, this would be pretty ridiculous, but hear me out. I think the perfect power for him would be time dilation, because, you know, we see him in episode 3, and this is when Max changed the timeline at the very end, and he's there. I imagine, I just came up with time dilation because, like, the Vortex club members, they do drugs, they smoke pot, so I just figured, you know, time dilation. Like, you could slow time around him as if he was high, letting him stay relaxed while the world rushes by. So that's just me, but yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think that's a cool idea, or I'm just like making up shit as I go along? Because I'm putting thought into these. I'm just trying to figure out what I can, but do let me know if you agree or disagree with me. Next is Dana Ward. Now, like Victoria and Nathan, she's popular, but she's at the same time incredibly kind. Like, she doesn't let the fame go to her head. She treats everyone with respect and offers support whenever someone needs it. And she's got this caring energy about her that makes her like a good person to be around, you know? It's like, if I had a friend like that, it's like, yeah, I'd want to be around her. She seems nice. Now, I think her power would be healing. Now, I don't know if it would be physical or emotional, but one of the two. I imagine maybe she could, if it was physical, she could mend wounds, and emotional, maybe restore, like, if someone's down, she can stand near them and help, like, boost their morale type thing. But then again, that does sound like Kate, but, so I guess for this we'd have to go physical, as we don't want to try and copy like the same one. We want to try to have each student And teacher, I might cover that in a later video when I get through all the students. Well, yeah, I will, because I want to do everyone. So definitely. So yeah, but for this, we're just covering one character at a time. Next on the list is Daniel, not Diaz, but DaCosta. Now, like Kate, he is shy, and you'll notice him, like, the first time you really notice him is when you leave Mr. Jefferson's classroom. You'll see that he's being bullied by 2 other students. And I gotta be honest, this guy, I really think, because we see in Max's journal how she does all the journaling, but if we were to take away just the journals and just focus on who is the most artistic at the school, I think it would be him. Because there's a choice you can do in episode 1 where you talk to him and he asks if he can draw you, and if you say yes, he'll put a drawing online, and it's a really good drawing. So I think he's the most talented when it comes to drawing at Blackwell. Now, if Daniel had a power, because let's face it, even though he's incredibly talented, he's a bit of an introvert. You know, he keeps to himself, tries to stay hidden. I think his power would be a lot like Tristan's from the comic, intangibility. Or it could just be plain old invisibility. You know, whenever someone comes to bully him, he just goes invisible so others can't find him. Could use that as a defense mechanism. Because, you know, powers come from emotions, and since Daniel is introverted and keeps to himself, that could be his power. And the last person we have for this video is Taylor Christensen. Now, when you first meet her, like Victoria, you think she's a bitch. In fact, I think, because her and Courtney, I think they're alright. It's just Victoria I do have a problem with. But, you know, then again, I guess I am being biased. If you were to go through the story and really look into Victoria's character, you know that, like Kate says, she's insecure, and she's not just a one-dimensional character, but I still hate her for one reason, which I may discuss later in another video where I talk about her. But anyways, you can learn more about Taylor if you choose to. You can learn that her mom is in the hospital and Victoria was there for her, and that her behavior really is just wanting to fit in. And then she does feel guilty if Kate, like, regardless of whether Kate jumps or not, she does feel guilty about that situation and feels like, even though she says that, even when Max can blame her and she says that's not my fault, I think deep down she does think that she did play a part in it. That's why she's a bit defensive. At least that's my opinion. But beneath the snark, she is capable of compassion, and you know, you can change her for the better. For her, honestly, it's a bit tough, but I gotta be honest, I think it would be, again, a power like Alex Chen's. You know, she could sense other people's emotions and even soothe them, take away fear of pain. In a way, you could say it would reflect her in a struggle, you know, someone who starts out hurting others but truly wants to connect and make things right. Her power could let her literally heal relationships, maybe. But anyways, that's really all I have to say. I'll try to do better with the powers as we progress with more characters. But, you know, I gotta be honest, I'm a bit of a dullard, so not that creative, but I'll try to be for this video series. I want to be. But that's the end of this video. Do let me know if you agree with me, whether or not these characters would have these powers, and if not, what do you believe they'd have? Hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. This is TotalGamerJunkie, signing off.